while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.
Hey guys and girls, welcome back to YYC Designs, RC Creations. I'm Twist for those of y'all who don't know me, and to our regular friends, y'all know what I'm all about. We are building metal RC replicas here. Today, something a little different, something for the cats who like the water. That means, of course, the double cabin cruiser project. I've got to get going on these things. They were promised for last Christmas. I'm behind on that, obviously, but for those of you who aren't familiar with the double cabin cruisers, I'm actually building two that are alike but not alike. They're very similar, so that there's no arguing between two teenage boys who happen to be my nephews. So they are being built for my nephews Tristan and Tyler, and yeah, so I got to get moving on them because I am way behind. Today I want to start getting the mounts for the motors and the running gear in place on both. So we'll see just how far I get. It is quite a job to get two done all at the same time, but we'll see how far I get, and we might get into some other interesting stuff. I also have a big announcement, which is that we have, oh great, now it's raining, so you're probably going to hear some binging and tinging off of my metal roof in the shop here. I do apologize if any of that comes through. I do have a really special announcement to make, which is very cool. We have been commissioned to do a RC replica of a rock buggy named Warthog. Warthog was designed, built, and driven by Clayton Kratz. It has been featured on Four Wheeler magazine. It has been featured at least twice that I know of on Busted Knuckle videos. I happen to get very lucky and see it live and in person years back. Very, very cool rig. Clayton Kratz, very cool dude, has commissioned us to do an all steel version of Warthog. And it is gonna be groovy, I tell you guys. This thing is just, it's off the charts cool. So can't wait to get started on that. That will be coming up very soon. We're gonna go discuss some things. I'm gonna get some photos and some drawings and all of that of Warthog, so that we can build a very, very accurate replica of her. She is one kick-ass rock buggy, and she's just super cool. You guys and girls are just gonna love her. Anyway, that's my big announcement, and can't wait to dig into that build. But for today, let's get going on the double cabin cruiser project. Yeah. All right, so here we have one of two of the double cabin cruisers. This one happens to be number 2. I keep them separated by the design more of the shack up here, and number 1 is sitting off just a little ways. I happen to have some welding to do, or had some welding to do, to catch number 2 up to number 1, which is done now. So we may as well just start with number 2, since she's in my jig and my vise here, and we'll use her to explain what I'm going to do. This, of course, is the stern. What I want to do is I want to add the piece in here to, and of course brace it from the bottom, which will contain the twin electric motors and the running gear, which will not obviously go out the stern. It'll come out through the bottom of the ship, somewhere near about where the vise is. The trim tabs, however, will attach to the stern back here. I have yet to make those. I've got to make the trim tabs. But basically, yeah, I've got a design in my head, and we're going to start putting it together and design the motor mounts or mount setup for both boats. So I want to get that in place. The other thing I want to do is be able to set the electronics of the ship, which would be about here amidships. So the electronics will actually be accessed through the back part of the lower cabin here. The flybridge will contain only what a flybridge normally would on a boat. So just to give y'all an idea, because it's been a while since we have had the boats on video, so that y'all have an idea here, we're going to run the tape measure. And so basically we are looking at a 41 inch boat to the bow. So they're both about 41 inches long. Overall, I got to do it this way because of course I can't attach to the keel, but they're about 16 inches from keel to the top of the cabin. The passenger, or the main cabin here, is 20 inches long, and they have a beam of 10 inches. I couldn't remember, I actually had to measure that myself. So we do have a beam of 10 inches. The flybridge is basically, I'm going to say about probably 14 inches is the main cabin, and then we'll have the sun deck at the back here, and of course the roof over top. And yeah, so that's about where we're at with the boats right now. Both boats are the same dimensions. And so yeah, let's get on to building the motor mounts and the mounts for the running gear and all of that at the back on both boats here. Well, I'm at it, and I have things going. Just to let y'all know, this is my new camera rig that I've designed. I have one basically at either end of my workbench. It pivots and gives me up and down movement here. I can shoot from overhead. I can get a lot of nice angles out of that arm. It pivots basically 180 degrees right around to my toolbox here, so that we can get some nice head-on shots going this way down the bench for projects. I also have these mounts here which pivot again 180 degrees, just a little different direction. The camera can get many different angles. This is the second camera. Of course, I've got the light mounted to it. And yeah, it's just a little GoPro 3 knockoff. I put it in the underwater case just to keep the schmutz off of it. And then over here, I have a shorter mount, but basically I get different angles with this. And I got lucky and found these things in my pile of stuff, and I can get pretty well any angle I want. I got to get it undone just a little bit more. Something I just want to show you all here is this comes out and has a nut on the back fitting in here, so I can get just all kinds of angles or anything I want, right? And they just attach so nicely to these poles I made, and then they bolt up nice and solid. Basically, one is this is the vertical mount, and then of course over here I've designed the horizontal mount, and I can also mount microphone or another light or whatever I want on my horizontal mount, but I can change this into a vertical mount as well, exactly the same way, because it has the same setup here, yeah? So I can clamp them on anywhere. So now basically we have second and third camera mounts. I can mount the big video camera or the little GoPro or the Samsung 7 that I just happen to be shooting on right now. Okay, so what I've done here is I've gone and I've taken, I'm not taking anything anywhere. What I have done is I have taken some 1/8 thick, 4-inch wide flat stock and cut it down to a piece 4.5 inches long on this one. No, pardon me, 5 inches on the front, 4 inches on the back. Let me zoom this in here a little bit so y'all can see it better. Now what I've done is that is just a battery post cleaner taking the place of one of the motors. Now there will be a dual motor setup in here. Let me grab another battery post cleaner. It's a little bit different size, but y'all will get the idea. And the other motor will sit so. Now the nice part is these would be 500 motors, and yeah, I can't get that to sit still without rolling off, so I don't want it to roll away. Anyway, they're going to be 500 motors that I use in this boat, and of course then my running gear can go on an angle down through here. I can mount my remaining gear here, which will be of course for rudders and controls and that sort of thing. I'm probably going to have to make this plate a little longer or shift it back. I put it a little too close, so I'm going to shift it back a bit. But you get the idea. But so I set that up. Now the other thing I've done is I've made this plate. I'm going to zoom us back out again a bit here. I've made this plate now to come in over top, and this will come in and sit so what I will have is a floor for my main deck. Yeah, so I'm just going to back you up a little bit here so you get a little bit better view of what I am talking about here now. So now we have a floor for the main deck, which is coming in here. Yeah, so the main cabin will come up to this rail here. This will be the floor, and of course you go at the back and you'll have the rear deck out here, and you will have your transom there, which I will build a gate into that, and this will get cut out a bit, and you'll see in the future how that gets done. And there will of course be a diving board off the back, and then in the bottom of the transom here I will be mounting some underwater lights. So I hope that all makes sense for you. It's a little difficult to see on this camera, and I tried this several different ways, and there's just no really good angle to show you just yet. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to get y'all to be able to see it better. But I will continue on here. I'm going to move that plate, and we've got some other work I want to get done here. Okay, so as you can see, I did get the back plate moved, so now it is right back up against the stern, and that will allow, like I say, for proper rudder and support shaft support to be put in for what will be my running gear. Now the running gear will come out of the motors and drop through the hull, something like that. Yeah, this will be the stuffing tube and the prop shaft. So running gear goes through the bottom of the hull into what will be my rudders down here, and of course the trim tabs will be on the back. I haven't put those on yet. I am still building them with the motor mounts, so a lot of little pieces to be busy screwing around with while you're building all of this stuff. And of course trim tabs, I've got to hinge them, and I've got to make sure they're basically the right size to also handle a 40-odd inch long boat. So then I have the cabin floor. Of course you can see, I'll tilt you up just a touch, and I'm going to zoom you in here a little bit so you can see this better. I have cut in the doorway to go down to the main floor here, and so we have a pretty good view of the back of the ship, or well, boat. It's a cabin cruiser. It's hardly a ship, but that gives you an idea of the stern and the main floor cabin, or the main cabin floor. If I could talk today, I would be doing fantastic. And cabin floor, motor mounts, and of course rudder and running gear mounts. So I will zoom you back out again here and give you a nice look at the ship overall. This of course will be the fly bridge here, all the way from here back. It will have the roof on it, and of course it will have its own little sun deck back here, which goes about, there's probably 6 inches of boat left after the fly bridge, so that'll give me lots of room for ladders to go down to the boat deck and that sort of thing. The boat deck will come in here, okay, so that this will be the diving board. I did forget to mention that, so I will zoom you back out here again to the diving deck. So we have the diving deck, and the main floor, or the boat deck, will come in here. So I do have a little space here right up to this doorway, of course, to mount whatever I need, electronic or switches, and I'm planning on more or less putting a lot of my light switching and that sort of thing back here in this little compartment that will get built in. And then of course we can have a fully decorated interior if I want to as well. So that's what Tam and I had always planned on for the boys, was to decorate the interior of the boats as well. I don't know how much of that's going to get done because of course I am nowhere near the interior part builder she was. So anyway, yeah, so we've got the fly bridge here. It will be capable of steering from below or here, and give you a little overall look. As we move up front, this is the front of the main cabin. We will have the foredeck here. Coming in here, we will have the foredeck, and what I have done here now, it's still a little bit on the toasty side, so I want to be careful, is I have the anchor mount. Whether I put single anchor or dual anchor, this is going to be the mount that will be holding the anchors, and the anchors will of course come up through the deck and over the top, and of course there will be a rail around here, so the anchors will come through and so on. And then we have the I don't even know what part they call this, to be honest with you. I've always called it just a four spotting platform, or a spotting platform, and so it will have the rail around it as well. They just make very handy places to watch your anchor or raise your anchor from. The anchors will be motorized, by the way. They will all be on separate switches and so on, and be remote and motorized. So the boat will probably have anywhere from 4 to 6 channels on the radio, so I can make the anchors work remotely. Basically the lights as well, and that way the boys never have to go to the boat to do anything except shut everything down or turn it all on to sail them. So I've just made this piece here. It is still very hot, and actually I can warm my hand on it, to be honest with you. So anyway, both of these are made out of 1/8 inch thick stock. This was a piece of 4 inch that I trimmed down so that when I come forward with my planking, it's not going to get in the way, and then I can go and attach little pieces to the side here. Though, I mean, it's not like it's going to need the support. This alone, all by itself, even if I don't attach it to the planking, will be tons and tons of support for the anchor and the chain. This was a piece of 1/8 inch thick 1x flat stock, and it has a piece of 1/4 inch solid square stock welded around it to give it a bit of a foothold, so that you wouldn't slide off underneath the railing. So that is how far I have got on the double cabin cruiser project this time. Of course, I've got to do all of this to the other boat as well. I'm going to start adding structure here next. Fairly soon I will be doing the planking. I will be putting making the decks, making the walls over here for the cabins, for the main cabin, and of course for the fly bridge, the roof, and all of that. So they're going to really start looking like boats very, very soon, and then we will of course start stuffing motors and running gear into them, and it should be pretty groovy. It's just old Uncle Twist has got to save up some money here and buy some parts for the boys. And of course then I've got to do all the light installs and all of that. So there's a long way to go on these, but it's a lot of fun. They are not as expensive as building a crawler. and the parts for them are decidedly less expensive. So I suggest, just a thought, that if you love RC, look at getting watercraft, guys. They're a lot of fun. You know, I mean, my thing is I started building RC boats because I could never afford a real boat. I always heard the theory of boat stood for bust out another 1,000, and you know, it ain't far from the truth. In this case, it's bust out another $10. So that isn't bad. So anyway, that's my little acronym for it anyway. And in this case, in the double cabin cruiser project, is bust out another $10. Because a lot of the parts you can get relatively cheap. But like I say, if you are into RC and you want to have a lot of fun, take a look at the boats, guys and girls. It's they're a blast, and there is virtually, you know, many different styles of boats to choose from. In the future, I am going to build a jet-powered riverboat. And we, of course, have CCGS Captain Goddard going. And yeah, so I'm going to have a few boats. And I am also a big fan of BC tugboats, British Columbia tugboats. And one of those is very close to being ordered. So I may start a British Columbia tugboat very soon. Well, I will anyway, because I'm going to build one for myself. This summer, I plan on starting on the tug, and that way she'll be ready for next summer. But I'm going to build a British Columbia tugboat for myself as well. So there's going to be lots of boats in the future for me, as well as crawlers and trucks and all sorts of things. But this has been the Double Cabin Cruiser project, and just in case I don't get any more done before I try to put the video out here tonight, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. For YYC Designz RC Creations, I'm Twist, and Maddie is having a little snooze by the door. Y'all enjoy your work week. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.